So good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this NCBA customer webinar. My name is Rosalind Gishuru. I am the Group Director for Marketing, Communications and Citizenship, and I will be your host this morning. We are honored that you could join us to dialogue on one of our key milestones since the merger, and that is the upgrade of our core banking system. The bank undertook a major system upgrade from 17th to 21st of September 2020. And 2 weeks into this consolidation, we have experienced some challenges. And this morning, our Group Managing Director, Mr. John Gashora, will walk us through what exactly transpired and where we are today. Joining him in discussing these matters this morning is part of his leadership team. And on the call, we have our Group Director for Technology and Operations, Mr. Jeff Githinji. We have our Group Director for Corporate Banking, John Okulo. We have our Group Director for Retail Banking, Tariffs. And lastly on the panel today is our Deputy Director for Customer Experience, Sima D'Souza. Before I hand over to our Group Managing Director, I just want to again sincerely thank you for taking the time to join us this morning. We appreciate your feedback. Your feedback makes us better, and it is our commitment to deliver the promise that we have set out for each and every one of you. So we thank you for the continuous feedback that we have been receiving from you. Just a bit of housekeeping from us. Please use the Q&A tab. Please send us your questions and your comments, and we will endeavor to be answering them as we go along. But at the very end of this forum, we will have a Q&A, a time for Q&A. So we will take all the questions that we can. We will also go ahead and update our FAQs on our website just to ensure that the information that is shared with you here today is also available on our channels, our communication channels. So ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to invite John Gashora himself, our Group Managing Director, to take the stage and offer us his remarks. So John, karibu sana.
Thank you, Rosalind, and good morning, colleagues, and good morning, customers. Happy to have you here today, and thanks for making the time. It's the kind of conference call you don't want to have, because it's one that talks about, reflects on the challenges you've had, whereas you would rather be talking about how to support your customers' businesses, how to finance them, how to enable their savings, and so on. However, today, we thought it's important that we reflect on the last 2 or so weeks, during which time I think we have put our customers through the most challenging of times. Banking is supposed to be simple. Banking is supposed to be straightforward, and technology is supposed to make it even easier. It's the whole idea of technology was to bring banking to your fingertips so that you're able to do what you need to do without having to make those expensive phone calls to our call center or to your relationship managers. But the last 2 weeks, we haven't lived up to that commitment, to that renewed kind of banking. So we thought it's important we take this time to reflect on those 2 weeks. I think we have been fairly open about what happened, but I thought it's more important that we speak with each other about what happened, what went wrong, and why we believe that what happened is behind us. Ladies and gentlemen, as you know, we created NCBA by bringing together 2 very strong banks, the former CBA and the former NIC, banks that were known for great customer service, and through their customer service channels, also great technology. But during the 1 year of existence as NCBA, a few things needed to be fixed. I'm sure a number of you have had the experience where you went to a branch and you are told, because your former bank was X, you need to go to this other branch because they could not get certain data that you required. So what we embarked on was a journey to consolidate banking systems so that going forward, when you go to any NCBA branch, you get the same service, the same level of service. Furthermore, we were trying to make it easier as well for relationship managers to again deliver a very uniform and unified service to you. The process that we embarked on was to bring all the data together into one core banking system, and over time bring together the channels so that you don't have one customer who is using NCBA mobile and another customer who is using NCBA now to access their services with NCBA. And the same thing for online channels. There have been a number of online channels available. And again, we wanted over time to bring those together. Beyond that, there were certain statutory and regulatory requirements that we needed to meet. We had been operating, yes, as one bank. However, we continued allowing old checkbooks to work, and we had been given an extension for 1 year, which is the longest you can be given. Our card services, we had been given an extension of time to continue using old NIC cards, for example. And we had to eventually end that process. Finally, we had tariffs. Again, there were customers who were on both formerly CB and formerly NIC who were experiencing different tariffs for the same kind of service. And again, we had been given a period of time during which that could continue. And at some point, we had to end that process and to have a unified tariff system for this bank called NCBN. So there were many changes, unfortunately, that had an end date of October 1. And so when we started this journey, perhaps the one that brought the most pain was the one of systems. Let me explain a little bit about that process. The process involved basically bringing the two systems together. It then would mean that one of the systems had to be discontinued, and we had to cut off data at a certain point and move that data to one unified system. So for the former NIC customer, it meant that from the date of September 18th, old data remained in the old system and new data moved to the new system, which is why when it came to giving you your monthly statements, we had to give you two, one from the new system, which began on September 18th, and the rest from the old system that ended on September 18th. What I want to assure you is that those statements are available, and your relationship manager or through the branch will be able to give you the statements that you need at no additional cost. However, obviously, it creates inconveniences because you are used to getting it before on your fingertips, either through your mobile or your online banking program. Bringing together the core banking system, what I would say is this: our teams worked very hard after a long period of preparation. And that part itself, in itself, was very, very successful. I know you as a customer might say, but how? You see, the core banking system is really what carries your data. It's where we know how much money you have with us and where we know what you owe us if you have a loan and everything else to do with your relationship with the bank. The channel that you use, whether that be online banking, mobile banking, eventually has to get to a core banking system to be able to say, if you're looking for balance, how much, what is the balance on your account? So that part that carries your balances worked well. And on the Monday 21st, we were open for business. And if you went to our branches, you would have been served seamlessly. And I believe it has been the case since then, as far as our branches are concerned. However, over time, as I said, your communication with the bank has moved from being physical to being electronic. And so the next phase was to get all the electronic channels through which you talk to us, being able to access that core banking system, the new core banking system. That is where we ran into a number of challenges. The first challenge, I must say, had to do with mobile banking. Where mobile banking, for those on NCBA now, did not work for a number of days. And it was interesting, it would come on, work for a few hours, then drop. Now, I must explain that each of these channels don't talk to the core banking system directly. We go through about 4 other hoops. There is what you see on your phone, which is the app that you see on your phone. When you try to log in, there is a system we use called the authentication system, again, which we have, but is provided by an external party. There is another system called the channel manager that then takes all that information and communicates to our core banking system. All these are provided by different vendors that we use. And should one of them fail, should one of them not work when you're doing your transactions, obviously to you, the bank has failed, which is true, the bank has failed. But we have to work with a lot of vendors to bring each of these up so it works. And often is a process of finding out where it fails. And I want to also answer a question I get asked all the time. When you do a transaction and it's not successful, but money has been taken out of your account, why does it take sometimes a number of days to reverse that transaction? Again, it's because going through these different hoops, it could have failed anywhere within these hoops, and we need to find out where it failed. First, to correct it, and two, to make sure that it did not complete and one of them forgot to send us a note back. So those are some of the things that we have to do when we say we are reversing a transaction. That's the process we go through. So what happened was that within days, we were quite successful in bringing back a number of systems. The mobile banking system came back within 3 to 4 days. The other challenge was our ATMs. ATMs were running from actually from the very start, except the balances you'd see on your ATM would be different from what is on the core banking system. Again, because the communication with the core banking system was struggling, and so we had an offline system set up so you could still access your money, but the balances were not live. They were not being updated live. But that was, again, fixed within 4 days of that migration. We had quite a few challenges with our prepaid cards. Again, because working with our partner, we had to reroute some of the traffic to the new core banking system. But perhaps the one that generated the most noise was our online banking system. Whereas our online banking system actually was done and working on day 2. What we noticed was that with all the testing that we had done, there was one area that we couldn't fully test, and that is when 100,000 customers tried to log in at the same time. And so when we made it available, and over 100,000 customers trying to log in at the same time, we noticed it would fail. And a number of customers would tell us that when they access online banking at night, it works perfectly. But during the day, it would fail because that's where we'd see a lot of traffic. So the problem is what we call a load balancing problem. And our first instance was to say, maybe we have not given it enough resources. And by resources, computer speak is giving it enough memory. And so we continued giving it more and more resources, adding more servers with resources to it. But we noticed no matter how much resources we gave it, it would still fail when there was certain amount of traffic try to come through. So we brought in a lot of engineers. Our teams worked with other vendors, including, as I said, each of the vendors of each of the parts that this system had to touch, bringing experts. And in this day of COVID, whereas we'd have flown in all these people, unfortunately, you had to work with them over different time zones. There were people in India, people in the US, people in Bulgaria, people in South Africa that we were working with, consistently sharing the data and observations and what we were seeing, and the code as had been configured. So eventually, we did find out what the issue was. And I believe last week, we fixed that problem. That is now working well. But in the process, We obviously inconvenienced a lot of you and made life very difficult. We delayed payment of salaries. We delayed payment of taxes. We delayed other statutory payments and other transfers. We had lots of failed payments as well. We did, however, make contingency plans to do manual payments for a lot of these. However, that would happen after a transaction has failed, and we have been alerted that it has failed, and often was a day late. And as we know, when it comes to money, a day late is a day too late. So for that, we truly apologize for those whose payments were delayed. Our commitment is we believe we have now one of the most advanced technologies in this country when it comes to banking technology. We have the right people working on it every day, looking at it every day. We do not foresee any of this happening ever again. We are now a unified system. Our services will now be seamless. We will continue to make changes, as I said, because we need to unify the channels. We still have the different channels that customers use, but that will be done having learned the lessons of load balancing tests that we must do. Furthermore, as you may have seen on my statement, for those customers who are levied penalties through late payments to the KRA and other statutory payments, subject obviously to certain terms, we will refund those penalties because it was as a result of the failure of our systems that those penalties were levied. We thank you for walking this journey with us. It's been a painful journey for all of us. And we want to thank you for staying with us, being our customer, even through this. There was obviously a lot of noise in the social media, and we take that feedback very positively. It helped us understand what was going on. Often you set up a system, and until the user tells you it's not working the way you think it's working, often you don't know. And that's how we took a lot of that feedback, that positively, to say, yes, we feel your pain, we understand it, and we're working here. Teams spent nights, sleepless nights, trying to figure out what the problem was. Eventually they did. And here we are to say that the worst is behind us. And the NCBA that you have known for good customer service is here to continue this journey with you, a journey of helping you create and attain your dreams, because that's really what we should be doing every day. So I want to thank you again for that. As Rosalind said, I'm joined by a number of my colleagues who have been working with yourselves closely, and I thought it's important for them to make one or two comments of their experiences, of their teams, of the work they have done during these couple of weeks. So to start with, let me call upon the person who was really in the kitchen, our Group Director for Technology and Operations, Jeffrey Githenji, to say a few words. Jeff. You're on mute, Jeff.
Oh, thank you. Good morning, customers. Good morning, colleagues. Thank you very much, John, for that invitation. Indeed, yes, I think the introduction where you spoke about the kitchen is quite appropriate. I think if I would just probably walk our customers through the journey that we have gone through. When the merger happened, we did not attempt to change our systems at that time. Both former banks had core banking platforms which were similar, but indeed were running on different versions. But knowing what it takes to execute the merger, we crafted what has been frequently described as a bridge. And what this bridge did was to ensure that a customer coming in from either of the earlier banks could get services, But that was not a very efficient solution. And we knew that within time, we would have to bring together the core banking platforms of both institutions. So what was the journey that we undertook? We first of all undertook technical upgrades, not just in Kenya, but also within the region. We were clear that it was important that we have a similar operating platform in our subsidiaries in Rwanda, Uganda, Tanzania, and Kenya. And indeed, that is in response to a lot of our customers who have business processes and businesses in those countries and require us to offer a service that is seamless and that is common across all our geographies. So we did undertake in the year 2019 technical upgrades to the future release that we would be operating under as part of that preparation. These went on successfully, and this year we undertook the second leg or the second stage of that piece of work. This was going to operate in two phases. The first was what we were calling transformation, and transformation really was the process of picking up the old products that we had in both organizations and crafting and using them. Using the new capabilities offered by the new release of our banking software. And the reason for this was actually primarily customer focused. A lot of the older products that we had set up were not as flexible as we needed them to be, and indeed they were not as responsive to customer demand as they needed to be. So what does this then provide us once the transformation is complete? It enables us to probably simply be able to constitute and craft an offering for a customer almost at the individual level. Before, if you are part of a retail customer, we only offered you customers across a set of retail products, but we can now customize your requirements and offer them to you seamlessly. So it was important that we made that capability. So this process required that we then transform all the products, be it loan products, be it deposit products, the account products, into the new module that is offered by the upgraded core banking software. The second phase of that process was then consolidation. The consolidation stage required that we then take on the customer data from both original systems and bring them into one pool. As John has indicated, it is absolutely necessary for that to happen to offer a seamless service and to have a common view across all our touch points, whether you're serviced through the contact center, serviced through the relationship team, or a service through an electronic channel. The view that needed to be could only be completely harmonized once we were on one core. So that is what we then undertook, and we initially implemented this in Rwanda, as I indicated earlier, and then earlier on in this year, we completed the transformation and consolidation in Uganda and Tanzania, and indeed we finally took the leg at that stage for Kenya. For Uganda and Tanzania, given the sizes of those businesses, we were able to undertake that change over one extended weekend. But in Kenya, we split that up into two. The first phase was a transformation phase, and the second phase was a consolidation phase. So the bulk of that work was focused on the core, and as our GMD has indicated, the core was intact. It was completed successfully, and those who then were accessing services directly through the core, particularly through the branch network, did not face the sort of challenges that we subsequently faced on the channel. Our GMD has adequately brought out the various components of the process and the various layers that we have on our technology stack. But one would ask, why did it take so long to resolve? when we first started doing this work, we did simulations. We took on the volumes that were being undertaken on both of the originating banks, and were able to start to project when that came together, what would that look like? And therefore, what would we need to be able to respond to the impact of those volumes? To prepare us for that, we did upgrade the core capabilities of our technology and made sure that if the channels, if I could call them pipes, those pipes were as big as they needed to be. And indeed, if there was then going to be a burst of additional traffic, those pipes could be elasticated. They could be able to expand to accommodate those surges of traffic. Regrettably, when we went live, that design did not work as intended. Whereas we had simulated with the traffic that we could generate, the peaks that came through when we brought the two databases together failed to accommodate that elastic behavior. And to that extent, that manifested itself in very poor response at our internet banking channel in particular, and very, literally unacceptable customer service. We truly regret that our testing was not able to accommodate that, and that the design as intended was not as flexible as we had thought. What we then did was to bring together a lot of the experts that we had been working with in putting these plans in place. A challenge that we also faced in terms of the duration was that so long as the channel was working, albeit intermittently, customer transactions were being originated. And we had to make sure that those were fulfilled. So to that extent, we then limited ourselves in executing the recommendations from the experts at night. And when we did that, we would unfortunately not be able to confirm that they had worked as planned until we got the subsequent peak of traffic, which would come in the following day. So the resolution process itself was a lot more elongated than we're used to, or indeed than we wanted. Having said that, we were able to get to the bottom of the problem. We were able to understand what components of the technology stack needed to be tweaked differently. We implemented those changes. We have monitored those changes. And we believe, as previously mentioned by our group managing director, that the worst is behind us. But despite that, we continue to retain the experts focusing on the problem, focusing on the performance, and focusing on any areas of improvement, and recognizing also that we are receiving feedback from our customers and accommodating that feedback in the actions that we undertake. So can I say today that the channels are performing at their best? My answer is no. And the reason I say my answer is no is because we are going to continue to fine-tune the performance of those channels. We will continue to ensure that our customer response on any of these channels is the fastest possible. And we will continue to take on board the feedback and the recommendations of our customers whenever they face a situation that they feel can be designed better or can be designed differently. So together with our customers, we will ensure that the feedback that they receive is taken on board and incorporated in the way that our channels and indeed the core banking platform works. So from my perspective, the journey continues, the work continues, and we will make sure that once we are done, the promise of NCBA service is met not just through our people, but more importantly, through the channels and systems that we have now deployed. John, I trust that gives a perspective, but I'd be happy to get deeper on any other area.
Sorry, Jeff, I think that is quite well detailed. Thank you very much for that. And I shall now call on John Okulo, who is our Group Director for Corporate Banking, to say a few words.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, GMD. Thank you, Jeff and Rosalind. And most importantly, thank you to all our customers who have joined us on this call. As the Group MD and Jeffrey have said, we sincerely regret the inconvenience that the technology challenges have caused to you, your businesses, your suppliers, and your staff. I would like to assure you that as the Group Director Corporate Banking, my responsibility is to ensure that your voice as a customer is heard within the bank and any of the challenges that you faced are adequately addressed. We run the corporate bank through a team of relationship managers in 4 distinct departments. We have a team that is led by Violet Wasuna, that is responsible for our relationships with institutional banking customers. Those are religious organizations, NGOs, public sector, multilateral and diplomatic agencies. We have a team that is led by Eli Shuri, that is responsible for all our corporate banking customers who are large borrowers and primarily leaders in their chosen sectors. We have a team that is led by Charles Omondi, that is responsible for all our commercial banking customers. And we have a team led by Paul Ogola, who is responsible for our relationships with customers in the Coast region. The commitment that we are making to our customers is that through the engagements with the RMs, the challenges that they have faced through this period are adequately communicated internally and addressed systematically. We have a team of client service managers that is led by Wamboi Muhoro. This team is effectively your shadow RMs. Whenever it has been difficult for you to reach your RMs, maybe because they're in a meeting or on another call, there is a shadow RM as a client service manager who is easily reachable on email and on phone and is capable of addressing any issues that may arise. We have a team very ably led by Sally Shege, that is responsible for transactional banking and in particular cash management. This is the team that is responsible for the channels that you use that our Group MD and Jeff has described. The online banking system, the mobile apps, and the payments and collection solutions. This is the team that is on the front line with respect to addressing any technical challenges that you may have faced with the products and feeding them to Jeff's team to address the issues from an IT perspective. The reason why I felt it is important for me to mention the team members is because they are your voices within the bank. And even as we give you reassurance that we do not expect these challenges to recur again, from our perspective, as long as there is one customer that may not be happy with some of the features of our solutions, we feel that it is responsible for us to ensure that those issues are addressed. With respect to the key issues that our customers have faced, I would like to break them down into 3 areas. Those are the issues that arise from the online banking system. The second area is one that relates to account features. And the third area is the one that relates to collections. With respect to the online banking system, Jeff has spoken about the technical challenges that were faced primarily by ArcIB, which is slow speeds, making it difficult for our customers to log in and upload their payments. And at times, once those payments have been uploaded, it has not been possible to process them in a timely manner. I would like to echo the reassurance that has been given that over these last two to 3 weeks, several fixes have been put in place to address the slow speeds and the error messages experienced on the platform. The process is ongoing until all the errors are eliminated, and we're tracking this very closely. Many customers have given us feedback on the changes that they would like to see on the platform. we are also looking at these suggestions and seeing how we can incorporate them so that the ease at which the system is used is felt by all the users. Due to the slow speeds, we had a backlog of failed and delayed payments. We are confident that all these have been cleared. And if you do have a challenge and you see that some of your payments have been cleared, please contact your relationship manager or client service manager, and we'll address it immediately. We do not expect any further delays, as the underlying problems with the online banking platform have largely been addressed. But we have also put contingency plans in place just in case that some of our customers face these challenges. A few customers have experienced payment duplications following the reprocessing of failed payments. Those duplications have been reversed. Currently, we're in the process of reversing erroneous charges that may have been levied on customer accounts over and above the new harmonized tariff. For some customers, the process of tariff harmonization and account product harmonization had led to changes in the tariff structures, which were different from what they had contracted. This is being addressed on a case-by-case basis. Some customers had account sweeping arrangements between their various accounts, which fell off, and some have had delayed in interest payments. Others have not received email notification of deposits or SWIFT advices. The reason why I'm mentioning all this is that this is the feedback we're getting from our customers, and the technology challenges have manifested themselves in different ways. I can confidently state that about 97% of these issues have been addressed. But even if it is 99%, that 1% that has not been addressed is equally important for us, and we will not spare any effort in ensuring that those challenges are addressed. So what supports have we put in place during this period? As our group MD mentioned, we have provided a manual option to facilitate customer payments. This, of course, is not ideal, but we always feel that if one channel is not working, we have to be able to process our customer payments. And therefore, as we have communicated already, there is an option of delivering manual payment instructions at the branch, to your RM, to your client services manager, or we can pick those instructions from your offices. And all we need is a written instruction signed by the authorized signatories, a check leaf for the amount, a PDF copy of the payments to be made, and a soft file on Excel, and we will effect those payments. I would like to emphasize that this is not ideal. Our primary focus is to ensure that ArcIB is consistently up and running. We also have an internet banking platform known as NCBA Connect. We have enabled a number of our customers to use this system. This system was already available for former CBA customers as the CBA online banking platform for corporates. We have made this channel available to all our corporate banking customers, and we're busy enlisting them on it. And therefore, if you ever have any challenge with ArcIB, there will be the option already set up for you to use NCBA Connect. And you may ultimately decide that you prefer the use of one channel over the others. We have endeavored to continuously engage with our customers through the relationship, client service, and product teams, and will continue to do so until all these challenges have been satisfactorily addressed. On the collections front, there were initially challenges with crediting customers' accounts with the M-Pesa funds that have been paid through the pay bill. What we have done in that instance is we have reversed any interest charge that may have accrued due to the delayed deposit of those funds. And we believe that as we speak right now, that is working well. For some of the former CBA customers, they were not able to access access mobile money coming from Airtel, we are in the process of enabling that as well. So from my perspective, it is to reassure you, our customers, that your voice is being heard as a team of customers, but also as individuals. And I'm very sure that with the work that Jeff Kithinji is putting in place, we will be able to offer you a service that is exceptional in the manner that you have always been used to. So thank you for giving me time to speak to you. And I would like to hand over to our Group MD.
Thank you, John, for walking through what corporate banking is doing to meet our customer needs during this time. I saw a comment there saying customers, we're calling everybody customers as if it's customers against the bank. No, absolutely not. We refer to you as customers, but often we think of you as our partners. And so this is a partnership, but given how we have handled you in the last 2 weeks, perhaps you feel that partnership has not been as great, but I want to emphasize that we view you as our partners, and the go for it is for all of us together. So let me now call upon Tyrus Muthega, our Group Director for Retail Banking, to make a few comments.
Thank you, John, and good morning to everybody who's joined us this morning. I thank you for your time and for your support as well through this time. As John mentioned, I'm responsible for retail banking, which includes services to our individual customers, SMEs, and all the services that are delivered through our branch network. Being the third speaker, or fourth actually, I'll try not to repeat a lot of what has been said very well by my colleagues Jeff and John Okulo. But I'd like to address just a couple of things that are coming up on the Q&As. The first is on the account number change. For very practical reasons and to protect your own privacy and security of your funds, we would not have communicated a new account number on open channels. You may have or missed the notifications that mentioned that your account number was going to change. But the most important thing that I would like to comment on it is that your transactions on both the old account number or the new account number will continue to work. There are questions for how long, and we will keep it open and available to you in the foreseeable future. As you transition and get more used to memorizing your new account number and remembering your account number, your new account number, it would be, I think, advisable that you change those payment instructions so that they refer to your new account number. But let me emphasize that both account numbers will work. I'd also like to comment on the checkbooks. If you received a new checkbook in the period that we've made the transition, even if it has an old account number, it will still clear. What will no longer work, as my MD mentioned earlier in his remarks, is the old checkbooks that had the NIC bank branding code 041. We have now fully reverted to code 07, which is what NCBA. Which will continue to, which is a checkbook that will continue to work. Again, for those customers that are heavy users, for those clients that are heavy users of checkbooks, I know that you've already collected your checkbooks. If you haven't collected your book, we have it available in your branch. Your relationship manager or branch manager will call, and we will deliver it to you in the most convenient way. And let me also emphasize that these checkbooks are produced free of charge. There is no cost to you for collecting the new NCBA branded checkbook. I'd also like to comment on your cards, whether debit or credit or prepaid. They continue to work with no impact. As your card expires, we will replace it with an NCBA branded card, again free of charge. But your card in your wallet continues to work today with no impact at all. My colleague John has commented on the product and tariff harmonization. We are receiving feedback because we moved from something over 100 different types of current and savings accounts to 22 that mirror very similar to a lot of the products. But there are changes. Your relationship manager or staff in the branch will explain what the changes are. But more importantly to you, offer you an alternative where the product that you may have been allocated does not meet the tariff or the operating instructions that you've given us below. But we continue to monitor the situation, and we will make changes if we do need to, especially around the areas that are receiving a lot of significant feedback. As I finish, I'd like to comment on the refunds that John commented on as well, John as a GMD. The majority of some of the charges you incurred are simple and very quickly verifiable. Those we will do very easily. Your branch management team, if that's the channel you choose to make your claim, my colleague Seema will talk about how the contact center and an email can also be an option. But if you do visit the branch and have a request for a refund to be made, for the simple ones, a check that was returned or a charge that applied to your account because of a delayed payment, we commit and have a process to complete that very, very quickly. There are some that we will ask you to give us some collaborating information. There are some that we will want some additional information for us to be able to process. We commit to refund and complete that process within 48 hours of receiving the information that we need to be able to process your claim. But we believe that 95% of a lot of the queries that will come are simple and verifiable and can be completed very, very quickly. I'll complete by saying that our teams in the branches are open for business. We have supported and created processes that will be very reactive and very proactive in helping you resolve your questions. We have over 150 relationship managers managing our individual and SME customers. And they're open for business. They're open to pick your calls or emails and be as responsive as they can to help you solve it. But I'd like to encourage you as well that if a transaction is getting stuck in the branch, we have a branch manager, and that branch manager has a support system behind them. And I would really, really encourage that if you feel that a transaction is not going as you would expect, we have a support system and it is within your right to request for it. We thank you for your support. We thank you for bearing with us during the time that we may not have been as good as we know we can be. We commit to being better, and we will be better, and we believe that we are already better. And we thank you for sticking out with us and commit that we will be here to support you. I'll finish with those comments. And I think I'll hand over smoothly to my colleague Seema. John, if that's okay.
That's okay.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you, Tariffs. Thank you, John. And thank you to all the customers who have logged in to listen to us today. My name is Seema D'Souza, as introduced previously, and I look after customer experience for NCBA Group. Basically, what this means is that I'm responsible for customer happiness. And unfortunately, I know at this time you are not happy with us. I promise you that this will definitely turn around, and actually is already beginning to turn around. With respect to the service that we've, that you have experienced from NCBA, I think all of my colleagues have spoken about the process that we've gone through to get to where we are, and to also explain some of the issues that you're experiencing. I just wanted to extend my apologies as well. I appreciate that you've not received the service that you expect from NCBA. It also has been very frustrating, I know, for some of you to reach us on occasion. You have experienced some delays in your queries and transactions. We're very well aware of that. And I'd just like to talk you through some of the things that we have done to respond and to amplify our efforts in ensuring that we are reachable and that we are resolving your queries and your concerns as quickly and efficiently as possible. So some of the interventions that we have put in place, I'll just bucket them into various categories. And I'll start off with the first response, which is building our capacity to deal with these issues. What we have managed to do is within the contact center space, we have increased our resource base tremendously, both from a people perspective and also extended shifts, so that we're able to be available to you as and when you call us. Over the last few weeks, we have seen that this has improved, and we are able to handle a lot more calls as a result of increasing our capacity. We've also expanded the support that we have on our social media team. So we have increased the number of agents that will respond to your issues coming through on a social media platform. We have a fully tech-trained channel support team. I believe my colleague John Akulo spoke about the available support options to ensure that any struggles that you're having with our channels are quickly resolved. So we have this dedicated team that sits there and makes sure that they handhold you through the process. We also have increased the coverage of our web chat functionality, which is available on our website. It's a very quick and easy way to engage with us so that we can provide you with quick resolution as soon as you log into our website. So over the last 2 weeks, we do feel that some of those responses are helping, and we're able to respond to you a lot faster than we were a few weeks ago. The other category that I could speak about is training. Our teams have been training for this moment for a very long time, for the last 2 to 3 months. And obviously this continues to be extremely critical for us as we progress. Our frontline team, including the relationship managers, have been provided with a lot of technical training and product training to ensure that we resolve your issues. And so that you're supported at the first contact. We do want to make sure that as soon as you call in, we're able to provide you with assistance immediately. We've also exposed the team to training specific to transitional changes. I think all of us have spoken about some of the impacts that you as customers had to deal with. Our group managers and directors stated that 1st October obviously saw very many changes with respect to account numbers and checkbooks, and also some internet banking changes as well. So the teams have been fully trained on how to support you to transition through this effectively, efficiently, and with as minimal pain as possible. The other issues or the other responses that we have are based around technical interventions. Internally, we've made a lot of system changes to reduce how it is that we handle your emails that come through to us, to improve our response time. We have implemented a proactive callback system. There are very many occasions where we may not be able to pick up your calls as soon as you call in. We therefore have implemented a proactive callback system where you do get a call as soon as we notice that you reached our system and we're unable to sort you out. We also have made sure that, through root cause, and I think all my colleagues again have spoken about this, but through very detailed root cause analysis, we're able to eliminate issue by issue, and therefore we are in a much better place today than we were a few weeks ago. From a communication standpoint, we've also tried to make sure that we're able to react. Sometimes I know that you may not want to receive a lot of communication from us. And I do apologize if we bombarded you with a lot of information, but we would like to try and make sure that we support you with information, as much information as we possibly can around the changes that will impact you, specific to some of the things that we've already spoken about, which are account number changes, card changes, checkbook changes, and internet banking changes as well. We also want to reassure you that our leadership and the leadership that is also on this call is all hands on deck. We are reviewing issues on a day-to-day basis, and so therefore trying to resolve and close out on them as quickly as possible. My colleague Tariffs mentioned that we have a process in place also for customers who request to be refunded. We know we've upset you and we want to make things right. He has also explained that process, and just to go through it again, what we have put in place is we have put in an email address where you're able to send in your queries which is feerefund@ncbagroup.com. You can send us an email with details on the issues that you're experiencing and what you would like us to consider for refund. Like he said, simple issues will be refunded very quickly within 24 hours, and there may be some that require further investigations, but we promise to come back to you within at least 48 hours on an outcome and a way forward. If you're unable to email us, feel free to engage with your relationship managers, feel free to walk into a branch, feel free to call our contact center, and we'll make sure that you're supported through this process and making it right. So essentially, I think as has been stated by all of my colleagues, we're extremely thankful to you for being by our side through this great milestone. I really reiterate our commitment to offer you the services that you expect as NCBA. And, I do assure you that, we will make you proud to be a customer of this bank as well. So thank you very much. And John, back to you.
Thank you, Seema. Thank you for that. I think, dear partners, I think you've now heard from the colleagues who have been at the very front line of this process and what they have been able to do, or their teams have been able to do, and what they'll be able to do going forward. I noticed there has been a lot of questions, a lot actually. I thought we'll all be able to answer each of them. But we'll just try to maybe do a thematic answering to a number of them. And then what will happen, I believe Seema, Rosa, and we shall put all those questions together. And those whose contacts we have, we shall come back to you individually. And those who we don't, we'll put it into a Q&A, and I don't know how we'll make it available to everybody else.
Maybe, John, just to add, the recording will be sent out to all customers. And at the same time that we send the recording, we will send you a link to FAQs where we will respond to each and every question. So we'll send the two out together. And for those who have indicated who they are, we will reach out directly to you.
Very good. So I think I just took down a few themes that I picked from the questions I have seen. One is, are the systems now stable? I think what I would say is this, that the systems are now stable for sure. However, as you all know, systems do go down from time to time, and it happens. And so there are times you try to log in, it's not able to go through. It's not because the systems of Aurora are unstable, but a few things could happen. Sometimes even our linkages to the likes of Safaricom could be down, and other things. So there will be intermittencies, but those are not caused because the systems are not stable. It's caused for a myriad of other reasons. However, we do our very best to ensure that system availability is maintained at a certain point that we track very, very closely. So those numbers are looked at every month. What is the system availability? The board looks at it. And if it goes below a certain point, it means that we need to take another action to ensure that we bring it back to that level. The various questions about tariffs. Now, I must say that I know this is not, it's not the best time when you're going through other changes to then have to pay fees that we're not used to paying before. But what I'll tell you is this, overall, if you look at all the tariffs that we moved, overall, customers actually are getting a better deal. Obviously, on an individual level, that may not be true because you probably use only one product, which used to be cheaper before and it's a bit more expensive. But if you look at the overall basket of products, what we have actually done is take an average. So there are people who are paying more, who are paying less. There are people who are paying less, who are paying more. But on average, every customer, on average, all the customers should be better off. So we did not change these tariffs to put the bank in a better place. We actually overall transferred benefits to customers. But as I said, from an individual customer perspective, depending on which product you use, that may not be as apparent. But as a basket, that is the reality. There are questions about the mobile loan that was available under NCBA now. I assure you that will be made available. I believe it should be coming back if it's not back already. So everything you're used to having will be back. It's just that each particular offering is being worked on to be brought back. There are others who asked about the FX now, where they could negotiate the FX rates on their mobile phones. Again, that's being worked on to be brought back. I think on Jeff's desk is about 5 pages of items that are specific that must be brought back. But we have engineers and developers working on them to make sure they come back over time. And that speaks to bank statements, the kind of narrations that we're used to having, the detailed narration that you would get. I've seen a few questions about that. I don't see all my loan numbers, or I made payments, but I don't see the level of narration I'm used to seeing, which would allow my reconciliation work well. I can assure you that a book of work, again, that's being done to bring everybody to the best of the two where narration was good. And that's being done. So all the functionalities will be back, but first we wanted to stabilize the system and then work through it, yeah? Someone has asked whether we've been in touch with the regulator. I can assure you we update the regulator on a regular basis, as we should, so they're aware of what we are going through. It was a massive undertaking. I know I did not perhaps emphasize that enough. There was a massive undertaking. Globally, when big banks come together, they do not consolidate their core banking systems. What happens? They leave them alone and they build something called middleware. For those software engineers on the call, you understand this. They build middleware that looks at the two systems, and forever they continue having those two systems. If you know South Africa, where there are big banks that were built out of mergers, that's the truth. Then Nigeria is the same. They haven't consolidated their core banking systems because it's a massive undertaking that NCBA has done. So in reality, the regulator understands this because they know most banks just leave them to run and build a middleware in between, which is how we've been running for the last 1 year. We undertook to consolidate so we can create those new products and make them more available. There are questions about CBA loop that I have seen and asking whether that has been migrated. This migration did not include the NCBA loop, the NCBA loop banking. So that's a separate system altogether. It has its own upgrade timelines. We shall be communicating those appropriately. So this did not affect that side of the business. If you're having any issues on NCBA loop, it cannot be blamed to this upgrade or this consolidation. So it's out of this consolidation. I think that covers the general ones. I don't know, Rosalind, if there are any other general ones you picked up that you can perhaps address.
No, I think you've pretty much touched on them, quite a bit on internet banking. But we will, again, endeavor to just respond to each and every one of those queries. There are some comments about reachability. So in other words, our communication channels, reaching our RMs, the call center, again, as Seema echoed, and the business leaders as well. We will just ensure that these lines of communication are open. So I think that sort of touches on how to reach us, some comments on branches as well, and getting service from the branches. I don't know, Tyrus, if you want to say anything more on that.
I could, and thank you. So we are in 70 locations around the country, and the latest being Sarit Center. So if you live near there and wasn't aware of that, we do have a new presence at Sarit Center. Like I mentioned before, a lot of customers find the convenience of online and mobile banking, but we know that one of the key roles branches play is in being your point of last resort or last resolution when services perhaps didn't work with the convenience on online or sometimes the contact center. Your branch, what John mentioned earlier is the one part of this migration and consolidation that worked really well was the core banking system, which is a primary platform upon which branches operate. And so we have had very few, in fact, very few actually. And in fact, for a lot of customers, you now will find that service is seamless, irrespective of which outlet you go to, irrespective of which former bank you banked with. And so you'll find transactions are flowing faster and more stably. The key, the one critical service that we can offer and support with is in the provision of statements. And so if you need to pick up a statement, you will get it. Again, I will insist free of charge. And so we welcome you to the branch. We know that you have enjoyed the comfort and the convenience of online and mobile banking, but we understand that we want to position the bank as that place you go to have your point of last resolution, and your branch manager is particularly empowered to understand the transaction and be able to go behind it and make sure that you get the resolution you require. Thank you.
Okay, so John, I think we've covered quite a few of the thematic areas. Again, just to reiterate, the recording and FAQs will be going out, and we have our colleagues on the call here as well. So we are making a joint commitment to make sure that we address each and every comment that has been raised here today. And I think we've all heard from the GMD about the overall commitment from NCBA. Over to you, John.
So I think, again, is to thank our partners who took the time to listen to us this morning. We know you have choices. We know you really have a lot of choices. And so being with us, being with NCBA is a choice you've made, and we don't take that for granted. This process has been as painful to us as it has been to you. And I suppose we do know that there is somebody who depends on you on the other side with the items that you do bank with us, and we appreciate that. So for us is to apologize that this has taken, it took that long to stabilize. And it's still taking time, as I said, to make some other changes that have made your lives very convenient. But what I can tell you is this, that we've taken every feedback that you've given us, and each of them will be actioned upon. Two is that those items you are used to that were convenient, whether from former CB or former NIC, are in the book of work that Jeffrey and team are working on to ensure that they are built in to give you the experience that you used to, or in fact to enhance it beyond what you have been used to. Furthermore, the reason we consolidated the banking system is so that we can develop some new channels that we're working on that hopefully will make it even easier for you to access the services that you're used to. Besides that, we do want, as you know, to embark on a branch expansion system that will bring our services closer to you. And it's easier done when you're on one banking system. So all these items that have been unfortunately painful are actually aimed at making life brighter for us in the future. So we thank you for the partnership, and we hope you'll continue giving us this feedback as you've always done. You've been very candid with us, and we truly appreciate that. So thank you, and have a good day.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.